Welcome members to our webinar for the AAIP. We just finished up our new patient experience lectures, which was all of just about the last 6 months, starting from the new patient phone call all the way to the patient accepting treatment. Now, due to popular demand, I guess you could say, with your surveys, we're starting marketing. We're starting how, as independent periodontists, you're going to start marketing to your patients, mostly those patients directly from off the streets. We just so that you guys know, we're just well, we're getting back from last week from our symposium that we did in Miami, which was great. It's so nice to meet a lot of these members and also some new ones coming on at these symposiums. We did one last week in Miami, and we did one in November in Georgia, and now we have another one coming up next month in February, and that will be in Dallas. So if you guys are anywhere near the area, these symposiums are powerful. They are great for doctors, great for staff. It's a great way to come together and take home some useful tools to implement into your practice and start increasing those stats. So if you are interested in those symposiums, please email us if you haven't received the ads for those, and you can jump on board with those. We do have some seats left for Dallas, and it happens to be a pretty popular one. So please let us know soon if you would like to attend those. So we're going to start our marketing portion here of our webinars, lectures, and Dr. Sheldon is here to run this.
And hi, and welcome, and happy January 13th. We've talked a lot about marketing in the past, and it is something that is a bit of a mystery, and frankly, for many periodontists, this is brand new. We haven't had to do this, but believe me, it can make a tremendous difference. We're going to talk about some of the things that we've done in the past and some principles that we need to be aware of. So let's go right with that now. There's a typical term that you'll hear used as you get into marketing. It's called the marketing funnel. This is developed by a man named Townsend in 1924. It was actually based on something that was developed by someone else in the late 1800s, and essentially a marketing funnel or a sales funnel has to do with how customers eventually come in to being sold, and there are certain steps that they go through before they buy something. I shouldn't say being sold, before they buy something. The marketing funnel is easily applied to us, and so I want to go over the marketing funnel tonight. And you might say, oh, all right, a funnel. Listen, can you show me how to write an ad? Yeah, I can, but unless we understand the marketing funnel, we really don't know how everything fits. So if you'll allow me to do this, I hope you're going to find some value to it. Okay, so the top of the funnel. Top of the funnel is all sources of patients. So let's look at how all sources of patients will come to us. The first thing is that if the potential patient has to find out about you. How does that happen? It happens by marketing. It happens by your local referral source referring to you. It happens by your patients referring other patients, or it happens by word of mouth in any other way. But they have to find out about you. That's the biggest number. How many people know your name? Second part of the marketing funnel is they actually have to call your office. And so that means that there are more people who know about you that are calling your office, right? And so it's a bit narrower. It's a bit narrower portion of the funnel. Okay, once they call your office, they have to schedule appointments. And what have we been talking about in July, August, September, October, November, and at our symposium? That is, how do we make sure that once they call the office, they schedule an appointment? But there are fewer, of course, that are going to schedule the appointment than actually call the office. We want to make sure that's as few as possible, of course. We'll talk about that more as we go through the AIP, but you already have the message, particularly if you've been a member for a while. Okay, then of those who schedule an appointment, how many of them show up? We want that to be 100%, but it is often fewer. I think if all of you have a 100% acceptance rate, then I want you to lead the AIP for a while, and I want to take a course with you because I want to know how you do it. The next portion is need treatment. So a certain number of patients who come in need treatment. By the way, I think you found it, we certainly find it here, that there's some patients who come in and they don't need treatment, or they might need a prophylaxis, and that's it. So there's a fewer number of people that need treatment. There's a fewer number than that want a treatment, and there's a fewer number that schedule treatment. So you see how that funnel is a decreasing number. But the way we treat the marketing funnel has everything to do with our success in a practice. So how do we increase the width of the marketing funnel? The more people who find out about you, the more people who call your office, the more people who schedule appointments, and all the way down the line. The more people that do that, the more the marketing funnel looks like this. And that's our goal, is for the marketing funnel to look like that. We want a wide marketing funnel. Wouldn't it be great if everybody who calls our office actually schedules? Wouldn't it be great if everybody who schedules actually shows up and everybody who's given a treatment plan accepts treatment? And that's what we're doing with the different skills that we develop as we go through this process, because those people who show up, those people who need treatment, we can identify that in a good comprehensive examination. And frankly, our comprehensive examination is, on average, is better than any other specialty's comprehensive examination. So our opportunity to be able to help more patients because of our comprehensive examination, of course, goes up. I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. Creating want for treatment has very much to do with sales skills, and we've talked about sales skills here towards the end of 2015. We'll perhaps talk about that as well. I'm sending my staff to Silky Management for sales training, and they're going what? They're going to
Going at the
Clearwater?
end of February to Clearwater. We have about 12 of them going. But this is why we talked for so long prior to marketing. All the doctors wanted to hear was marketing. How do I market? How do I get more patients to call? How do I get more patients to come in? And the reason why we did the last 6 months with the new patient experience, and it was probably boring to a lot of people, but if you don't make it to where you can get those patients to schedule their new patient exam, get those patients to show up for their appointment, get those patients to accept treatment, to get on the schedule, to want it, you have to listen to the entire last 6 months that we did, or if you start doing all these great marketing stuff that we're about to talk about, it's going to fail. It's going to be a waste of time. It's going to be a waste of money.
It is, and frankly, the need and want has very much to do, or particularly want has very much to do with how you handle the patient in the chair and how you handle the patient when the patient says, I need to go home and think about it.
Right.
I mean, we have somebody showing up for a double solid bite case tomorrow as a real. Maybe we can go over that, because I think, the expectation is that the sale is going to be immediate, but there's a lot of work that you have to do and that our staff has to do behind the scenes in order to be able to get this to happen.
Right. I mean, with that patient in particular, we did all those pre-steps, and those pre-steps did result in the patient accepting treatment and coming back. And no, it wasn't immediate. Of course, we want everything to be immediate and accept that day, but the plans that we're talking to you guys about are not $2,000 plans. They're $25,000, $35,000, $45,000 plans. So for this patient in particular, we did answer the phone with the best skills we had possible. We did have the doctor phone call come in. We did send them a wow new patient packet before they come in. We did give them the best new patient experience possible, going over their needs, their wants, building those relationships, in giving them their options, explaining everything, educating, hours upon hours we spent with this patient, because the value of this patient to us is very, very important. So the patient did leave that day saying, I've got to talk to my spouse, I've got to get some money rearranged. And so we did things like give them how our office is different, to give them what they're going to get out of treatment from our office, to give them the videos, the tools that they need to go home, talk to their spouse, look at what they're going to get, a follow-up letter from us to say, we just want to check on you, see how you're doing. It was so nice to meet you, to do a follow-up phone call to say, is there anything we can do to help you get started on your treatment? And then the patient calls today and said, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to come in, upper and lower, full extractions, implants, fixed and prosthetics. I'm ready to make this change because we built that relationship, held their hand, and walked them through to accepting.
Good. But today we're going to concentrate more at the top of the funnel, and that is, how do people find out about you? Because the more people who call, the better the opportunity you're going to have more people to schedule. So let's concentrate on that. But of course, the internal skills are extremely important. Once they do come in, we want to make sure once they come in, they go through this sequence, and particularly they do this, so that our funnel is like that. Well, most of us, when we're marketing to a particular public, and a public is, in this definition, and I don't have the exact definition from Hubbard, but I'll make it close, is a certain group of interested people. So a group of interested people might be teenagers. It might be teenage girls, and it might be teenage boys. It might be baseball players, football players, basketball players, golfers, all of whom would be marketed to differently because they have particular needs and desires that are unique to them. For us, unfortunately, or fortunately maybe, because it's worked very well for most of us for most of our careers, is the only public that we were marketing to were doctors. Now, I hope it wasn't Dr. A, Dr. B, and Dr. C, because we should have more referral sources than that, or at least that's what we were looking for at that particular time in our practice. And so we would market to doctors. And of course, even those doctors had particular needs. One doctor may have the need for us to create an abut, and the other doctor said, I want to take the transfer impression myself, for example. Or some doctors are capable of certain things, and other doctors were capable of other things. And frankly, we sometimes tailored our treatment plans based on the skills of the doctor. I think you know what I mean. But they have a marketing funnel as well. Notice I'm just not saying Dr. A, Dr. B, and Dr. C. That in fact they have a marketing funnel, and they had their own group of patients who heard about them and then came in, and then they examined them, and there were fewer who accepted treatment, and finally there's a certain number of the schedule, which was far fewer than the number had heard about Dr. C. And so the question would then be, why don't patients go through Dr. A, B, and C's funnel? And we have the following reasons. Number one, Dr. A, B, and C don't do a particular procedure, or they haven't diagnosed the problem in the first place, or the patient doesn't like the doctor or staff. And most importantly, Dr. A, B, and C haven't solved the problem. So in fact, there's that whole group of people that didn't make it all the way through Dr. A, B, and C's funnel, and therefore did not get referred to us. You with me? I guess the other thing is Dr. A, B, and C are doing all the procedures themselves now, so they would never get through that funnel and get to us. And that probably ought to be a very strong item number 5. So that creates an entirely new funnel. And for those patients who have experienced those 4 items, those become the dissatisfied patients. And the dissatisfied patients is actually one of the groups that we market to, because 50% of the people, maybe more, who come into our office,
I would say more.
Yeah, maybe even as high as 75 or 80%, are dissatisfied with something that has occurred with some other doctor at some time. It may have been 5 or 10 years ago since they've even seen a dentist, but they were so dissatisfied they gave up on dentistry entirely.
Yes, they have. Yep.
So let's put that group into our marketing funnel. And now we see that there's that group of patients, but frankly, it isn't just that group of patients that becomes part of our marketing funnel. You see, it isn't just the dissatisfied patients. There are whole different groups or different publics that we can market to. How about the new arrivals in our area? How about the second opinions? How about the cosmetic patients? How about the people? How about the emergencies? How about special procedures? We did the Root implant. It makes us unique in Florida. We have been, I think we still are, the only, I shouldn't say this to all of our Florida members, we're still, I think, the only specialist that does the Root implant in the whole state of Florida. And the state of Florida is what, the third third or fourth most populous state in the country. I forgot which. Okay. And those who have had no care for a long time, which part of that group is this dissatisfied patients. But the basic for all of this is they're looking for expertise. And so when we're talking about marketing, yes, we're trying to get people in, but there's a certain amount of oomph, a certain amount of force to that marketing, which is provided by the things that we already do for the community and how we publicize that. And I don't care whether you're working and volunteering at the hospital, you're volunteering at a dental clinic. I don't care whether you have a charitable giving campaign, which of course we're recommending to all of you. Writing a book, writing papers, writing articles, being on TV, being on radio, the things that give oomph behind you essentially makes your marketing stronger because there's so much strength. And that strength is really perceived as authority. It's perceived as expertise. It's perceived as the go-to guy. It's perceived to, I understand you're the best in the area. And that's really what we're shooting for so that our marketing becomes more effective and that our marketing brings in, how shall I say it, a better quality patient from a business perspective than we would ordinarily find. It's also a better quality patient from a treatment perspective because there's treatment that we can do that, of course, nobody else can do, whether it's saving teeth or whether it's replacing teeth with dental implants. So let's look at a new part, and I've gone over this before with some of you. There's also a particular thing called positioning. And if we look at positioning, we can't be something or the same thing to everybody. We can't be like every other dentist. We're not like every other dentist. So essentially we have to put ourselves in the position of being the expert, but it may be the expert in a certain thing. So figure what position you want to own. Frankly, I want to own the position of best dentist in Brevard County, the go-to dentist. That's the position I want to be in. Other people do it by services. And in fact, we do it often by services. Pinhole graft, laser, periscope, CeraRoot implant, for example. But you've got to figure out what position you want to own because, in fact, your marketing has to be directed towards a particular position that you want to have. Okay, so find out what you already own. Where are you an expert? And now you've had a certain group of patients and you've had a certain amount of business success. In order to increase that success, what's the new position you want to own? And then convince everybody to concentrate exclusively on this one positioning approach. So if you decide the position you now want to be in, let's assume is the pinhole grafter in your area, then you concentrate your marketing approach on that one particular area. Pinhole graft until people understand that you're the person to go to for all sorts of recession. And by the way, pinhole graft has lost its luster from last year. Why? Because the news only lasts so long. Dr. Chow can only make the news for a certain period of time before the news folks have to go to something else. And so it may have lost its luster in terms of having national marketing, but it hasn't lost its luster in terms of attracting patients to our office because we do a different technique, something that's perceived as a more conservative technique. And whether we decide to do that technique or another technique, people are attracted to us because we're doing something new and something different. I got to say, it's not a big group. It really isn't a big group, but it is significant enough to mean that we'll see some patients strictly because we're perceived as experts in this particular area. Okay, so once you've conquered that positioning approach, now from time to time evaluate your PR position along with your advertising, your merchandising, and your overall marketing positions. So once you've done all this, you know how we do a reevaluation after we've done scaling and route planning? We do a reevaluation there as well. And what's the number one way you reevaluate? You evaluate by seeing whether a 7mm pocket has gone to a 3mm sulcus. That's a statistic. The way you evaluate marketing is the same way. It's by statistics. You need to track. If you're hiring a marketing person, that marketing person has to help you track. You need to track the sources of your patients. You need to know what marketing is working and what isn't. And it's very important that you have a numbers person there. Eleanor is our numbers person, and Eleanor keeps track of all sorts of numbers, so that when we want to go back and we want to see what happened 9 months ago, what happened in a 3-month position 9 months ago, and what occurred, where do referrals come from, and what was the result of each marketing exercise. Eleanor can pull that up, and we can go over that, and we're evaluating our marketing for the next 3-month period of time. We might look at the second quarter of 2015 as being the time that we're looking at, and we're looking at those patients who came in, but sometimes it takes 3 or 4 or 6 months for those people to accept treatment. So we're still looking at that second quarter, and based on what the second quarter is and how those patients did over the next 6 months, really will determine what marketing position we're going to occupy at the beginning of 2016.
Well, there's a practice that we're working closely with now, that when asked the question to look back and think of the marketing steps that helped you when your numbers were high, there was nothing that was statted at that time. That step didn't exist of, okay, last year or 2 years ago when our overall numbers for the year was highest, what did you do for that year? And there was no way to look back and tell what they did. So just thinking back on memory, it was, at that time I was doing marketing action A, or I was doing marketing action B, and he could recall and remember that those steps did result in a lot of patients calling his office. And so what we were talking about with him, and we talked about many a times, is any marketing action that you're doing, you should have a stat sheet per month that shows where your marketing successes have come from, and you should always track what is working, so that you can continue to invest on what is working and then pull out what is not working. And also because you don't want to repeat failures. 1, 2, 3 years down the road, what may be a really good idea to you, you may have already tried that 2, 3, 4 years ago, but you need to have that stuff tracked so you can say, okay, we tried TV and this was our success. We tried newspaper ads, this was our success. We tried implant lectures, this was our success, to find out not only how many patients came in because of that marketing, but what was the dollar amount that it resulted in. Because there was some stuff that we found out resulted in a high amount of patients calling the office, but the overall number of what they paid was almost nothing.
Yeah. So we're looking at, we've got, it's the implant lectures right now that we're looking at as being
Right.
one where, okay, you have certain expenditure, but are we really seeing the results from it? No.
Right, but however, I encourage, yes, I encourage everybody to try these things in their areas, because we've also found that what didn't work for us worked well in a different area. So definitely try them, see if they work, and as long as you're statting it, it's not a bad idea, but always stat it just to make sure that not only is it making your phone calls ring, but what is it resulting in your practice dollar-wise?
Yeah, and we have to be able to track that. Well, I'm repeating it. Why should I do that? Okay. So an ad must be factual and explicit. So here are the 7 points of any advertisement. And write these down, or you'll be receiving a copy of this by DVD at the end of the month. But I'll go slowly enough so you can write it down, because when you're creating an ad, it needs to answer these 7 questions. What is it? Number 2, how valuable is it? Number 3, what does it do? Number 4, how easy is it to do it? Number 5, how costly is it? Number 6, how do you acquire it? Number 7, where do you get it from? Okay? So those are the 7 items that are important. Let's see how Gilead applied these 7 principles to our website. So what is it? Solid Bite treatment. Solid Bite, of course, is our brand of hybrid or Pertau. And so how valuable is it? Well, come in for an examination. The examination is a $424 value, and you all know that we recommend $79, and so do many of you. Thank you very much. Okay, what does it do? So there's a description of Solid Bite treatment. It's the closest thing to natural teeth, using teeth fixed in place without any glue, and you can eat whatever you want. How easy is it to do it? Click here to learn more. And so when you click here, we look at teeth on the very same day as implant patients. Okay, that's how easy it is You can have your teeth on the same day as implant placement. Of course, every one of the implant people are advertising this right now. Okay, how costly is it? It'll cost $79 to come in and find out, and that includes comprehensive examination, digital x-rays, CT scan if needed. How do you acquire it? Call our office, and there's our office, and that's a particular tracking number, so we know how many people are calling into us through the website. That's specifically a website phone number, and so we can track how many people have called us directly through the website. And by the way, from Gilliard, that's a recorded line, and all of the phone conversations are recorded, so we can track, at least that have come in through that phone number, so we can track it, number one. Number two, so we can listen and see how our front desk is handling those calls, and we use those calls for training purposes. How do you acquire it? Well, take a look at our book, and you can get a free copy of our book just to come in. Here's how to acquire it. Just click, and you'll get a free copy. And then where do you get it from? Of course, you get it from me, or you get it from our office. So all of those things need to be in every ad. Now, there's two different types of marketing. One is the branding type of marketing. The other is direct response type of marketing, and direct response type of marketing is what we do. Branding is something that will be sold to you by all sorts of advertising agencies saying we need to brand you, we need to brand you, we need to brand you. If somebody is saying that, run the other way, because when they're trying to brand you, there's no statistics regarding branding. So they can say they're branding you all you want, but if somebody's not walking into the office and they say, well, people found out about you, that means absolutely nothing. Marketing is only effective if people call the office. That's the only thing that makes marketing effective. Anything else doesn't make a bit of difference at all, and has no place in a dental practice. So, branding briefly, it's a mass marketing strategy, and we already talked about we're marketing to specific publics. We're not marketing to the masses. The goal is to remind customers of your brand. Remind customers of your brand and the products associated with your brand. The more times the ad is run, the more likely the customer is to seek your product. Okay, these are the companies that would do mass marketing. We're not those companies. So let's look at direct response marketing. Direct response marketing, that's designed to evoke an immediate response and compel prospects to take some specific action, such as opting into your email list, picking up the phone and calling for more information, placing an order, or being directed to a web page. So it's a specific response, and that's what we're looking for from any marketing. A specific response. Somebody sees your ad and calls you, clicks on your website, goes to you in some way. Okay, the sleep number bed, you've all heard of that. That's one of the more popular direct response types of ads. Order your free information kit today. So they know if they've advertised on radio, how many people have ordered the free information kit, because they'll have a tracking number. They'll know that people listen to that particular radio station, that particular network, and they know how well the ad is working because people have responded to them. Okay, here's something we did years ago. This is one of our dental implant lecture postcards, and so we sent this out, and we had attendees. We didn't have a strong incentive for people to come in. It says attendees will qualify for a special reduced fee for examination and x-rays. Today I put down $79 or $50 of charity. I'd actually specifically say what they're going to get. I wouldn't be so circumspect. But there were a limited number of invitations. Only the first 25 responses will qualify. So we know if they get this postcard and they call us, we know that in fact the patient has given us a direct response. Okay, these were one of the early ads. This was probably a 2004, 2005 ad. Call for a free booklet. Call now. And they would call this number. They'd get a 24-hour recorded message. A certain number of people would bypass the recorded message and would call our office directly. About half of them would call our office directly, not for the free booklet. They'd call us for an appointment. This is kind of a backdoor approach I'm not sure I would take it today, but again, it's a direct response. We were looking for a direct response. Call for your free booklet. That was the response that we were looking for. Okay, let's take a look at, in today's marketing, what actually we're looking for in terms of ad design. We talked about the 7 qualities of an ad. Let's take a look at ad design. So the first thing is a killer headline, okay? Lighthouse 360. Keep the schedule full. Is that something that's important to you? Frankly, it's the way the AIP advertises as well. We talk about increasing the number of new patients in your office. Okay, identify a problem. Is a problem, if you're having a problem of keeping your schedule full, then that is essentially, in that same sentence, identifying the problem. Provide a solution. Discover Lighthouse 360. You're going to automatically communicate with 100% of your patients in the way that they prefer. Email, phone, mail, or even two-way texts. Proof. And here's the proof. And here's a nice testimonial right on this postcard. Lighthouse 360 has helped us to keep patients in the chair and minimize broken appointments. The program is amazing. It's basically like my assistant, and that's signed by an office manager. Call to action, okay, you've got a certain date to reply. Reply by February 15th, and if you do, you're going to get a $50 Visa Rewards gift card. And finally, a dual readership path. And dual readership path essentially means you've got big letters and you've got small letters. If you like the sentences or the phrases in big letters, you're more likely to read the small letters, and so you tend to change the font of your ad in order to be able to encourage people to look. And then if they like what they see, then they'll read the entire card. And so do I. And I think so do you. Now let's take a look at another ad. We got this ad from a pen company. Okay, there's the killer headline. It's very, very small. New year, big savings for you. Okay, is that a killer headline? And how big is that headline? Not very big at all. Identify a problem. Was there any problem that was identified? No. Does it provide a solution? No, it doesn't say anything about a solution. Is there proof? No, there's no proof. Is there a call to action? There it is. Okay, save up to 60% on your first order. That's a strong call to action. And a free gift when you order now. You know, it may be a free gift when you order by February 15th, maybe better than order now, because if this sits at the bottom of the pile, you take it out in July, well, I guess when you order now too, but it really doesn't have the same oomph as saying order by this particular date. And then a dual readership path, they don't have that either. Now, that doesn't mean that Amsterdam Pen Company might not be doing very, very well with what is a very nice booklet they send out. But at least if you look at the cover of the booklet, it really doesn't jump out at you and make you want to order. Now, the quality of the pens may very well be, or some of the things they do as you read the booklet may very well be, but it really doesn't follow the advertising path that most of us take. So let's take a look at a dental implant ad that we did. This follows Scott Westermeyer's format, missing multiple teeth. Killer headline. Those are the people we want, at least for dental implants, missing multiple teeth. Okay? Identify a problem. Well, that is a problem. I'm missing multiple teeth. Provide a solution and take a look at the solution. We can help, and take a look at the before and after. My goodness. If that doesn't provide a solution, I don't know what does. And yeah, that is a real before and after. We've never seen that patient. Did that patient ever come back for cleanings after we got done with all that?
I'm not sure. Did they? Probably. Are they still coming back? I'm not sure.
I don't remember seeing her. I really don't. Okay, call to action. That's a free seminar, and then a dual readership path. You see that we've got big headlines so people can see that. Missing multiple teeth. We can help. Free seminars. That's what I want them to see in this ad, and that's where the eyes should go. And then if they like that, then they'll read everything else and where it is. And notice we did put down seating is limited. So please call and reserve your spot today. And yes, I put my brand in, but that brand is associated with me. It isn't just a brand. The brand is associated with me. I can't advertise like Coca-Cola or Nike can. So, yeah, I mean, essentially, you can have a brand, and there are a certain number of people who do come in asking for solid bite. That's what they want. And people in Brevard County know what Solid Bite is. People in your area don't know what it is, but Solid Bite has been associated with my name now for 5, 6 years or so. So there's going to be a certain number of people that will identify the brand, but it's certainly not a brand in and of itself. Lee Sheldon is the brand, and Lee Sheldon is the author of the book, and Lee Sheldon is the one who's on TV and radio, and Lee Sheldon has done all those things, and so Lee Sheldon is the one that we hope our patients want to see.
Absolutely. You're very famous to them.
Yes. And so, but notice when we're using this this particular technique, we're looking at using the Solid Bite logo, or whatever logo you have, on everything. But it's going to be associated with our names, so it's on our stationery. And of course, we take a look at our sign. This is the sign that we have outside, and Solid Bite is on the sign. This sign needs to be changed, by the way, but we have a digital sign below that, and frankly, the information we have on the digital sign is much more current. It talks about the 3 doctors we have, and it talks about a number of the different services that we do. It has testimonials on the sign, and so there are a lot of things that people can see on a digital sign that you could never see on a single pan sign. And then those of you who've seen digital signs, and if you have the availability of putting digital signs, and you know how your eye is drawn to the digital sign rather than a sign like this. If you can do a digital sign in your area, I would certainly recommend you're looking into it. Now, the final thing when we're talking about marketing, we're talking about advertising, is making sure that we test the ad. Okay? There's a beta test that's done, and essentially a beta test allows you to test an ad and see if there's a response. Usually you'll go with a smaller ad and see if there's a response, and if there is, then it's worthwhile spending money on a larger ad of exactly the same type. There are some times when you will do a dual test, and so that you'll have 2 different, let's assume you're doing a direct mail piece, and you're doing, you might send out 200 pieces of direct mail. That's something you can do in your office without hiring a mailing consultant or some kind of direct mail person. You can do that yourself, and you might send out 100 of one kind of letter to 100 patients of the same type, and a different letter to a different 100 patients of the same type, and see whether letter A or letter B resulted in more people calling the office. That's what we do when we're doing a dual test. And when we do a dual test, then we'll say, all right, if letter A did better than letter B, then we should invest in letter A and send out letter A, let's say to 1,000 people next, because it did better than letter B. Anytime we're doing marketing, it's very expensive to market, and so we want to test small, and then once we've had success, then we can go much larger than that. And that's pretty much it. This is about the shortest webinar I've given in a year.
Well, I did want to say something about how you mentioned your name, not the brand Bite, but your name. And I know there was a time where you wanted to come up with a brand. You wanted to come up with something that they would see something and think about you, which I think worked, because we had people saying, they wanted Solid Bite, so it was a successful action. But we almost came back to, they were looking for your name. And I think it's very important to, flood your market with your name, so that your name becomes the implant guy. Your name becomes the guy who gave me my smile, gave me back whatever it is. Because when new patients are coming into our office, that's what they say about you before they've even met you. They say that they have seen you, and we say where they've seen you, the charitable giving campaign, something about a charity. They saw you in the newspaper. Someone gave them a Care to Share card. Somebody gave them a magazine. They received a postcard in the mail. Their friend said something about you, or whatever. You do so many things in your area that gains the trust and gains the recognition. And I think it's very important that you do things like that, so that you become the guy that is the expert, that knows how to do them. And so, there really isn't anything that you can do that could hurt you, because you're just putting your name out there. There are some people that don't want to jump into doing a magazine right away because of an investment, or it's a big step. but there's some small things that they can do to start out with, right, by getting themselves out there.
I think so. It isn't as difficult to get yourself out there as it was when we first started advertising. Blogs are there. You can buy up, you can get onto a blog yourself. Certainly, I mean, if you look at what I'm doing with AAP Connect, those of you read AAP Connect, a number of you joined because you liked what I wrote on AAP Connect. That's an example of a blog that I can get on in order to do a public service for Perio. Now, the indirect result, and that's PR action. Notice I can't, nor would I, advertise the AAIP. Essentially, what I'm doing is writing a blog talking about my philosophy. Writing a blog, and from time to time, I'll actually talk about what you can do for your practice. We talked about the doctor phone call, for example, and there are other things that I've done on a blog in order to be able to do to help Perio. But that's an example of what you can do. You can get onto other people's blogs. Example, let's assume you have a charitable giving campaign and you've donated a certain amount. Your charitable giving campaign has donated a certain amount to a charity. Don't you think it would be okay with the charity if occasionally you would write an article for their newsletter? And that's what I do for helping seniors in Brevard County right now. So that means that I'm published in something like 5 or 6 different periodicals, or potentially published in 5 or 6 periodicals in Brevard County every single month, because we support helping seniors in Brevard County. That's an example. So once you set up these particular public service venues and you're doing good for the community, it allows you, for example, to get your name out there. Now, at the bottom of every one of these articles, you can write, as we do, Dr. Sheldon's office is 2223 Starnell Road. He specializes in whatever, and people can call, and people do call as a result. People call as a result of Google reviews. I mean, Google reviews, we keep on talking about that, and I'll talk about that again. Google reviews is the cheapest thing you can do that will produce patients in your office without you spending a dime on advertising. If you have more Google reviews in your particular area, and people know that you do dental implants, or you show up on Google as doing dental implants or doing perio, people will call your office independent of anything else, and the marketing will cost absolutely zero. All you have to do is go to a patient and say, would you write a 5-star review for me? And we give you the format and how to do that. And of course, at our symposia, we drill that with your staff to make sure that that happens. Anything else?
Yeah, well, also the charitable giving campaign is a really good one as well, because you also got radio, newspaper articles, magazine articles. There's a lot of things.
A dinner.
A good dinner. But there was a lot that you got out of that. Plus, you are the guy that has donated over $150,000 to charity. So it's a really good thing. And the charitable giving campaign doesn't cost anything either.
Yeah.
So it's a really good action as well.
Yeah. So that's a PR action. Public relations gives as I said, for those who joined late, public relations puts the oomph behind marketing. We've talked about that before. And any questions on what you can do, we welcome your emails. Your emails help us, because we've got a question and answer session coming up next Wednesday night.
And we need some questions regarding this, especially because we just started this marketing. So if you have questions on PR, marketing, some marketing steps, some things that you can do, if you have some things that you've been struggling with, battling with, afraid to try and do, ask us, email us, because we will share them on the air next week at our questions and answer segment.
Also next week, Dr. Marvin Price, one of our members, is going to talk about his successes, and he's one of our charter members of the AAIP. So he'll be on. So and of course, I've asked you if you want to share some wins that you've had, we'd love to interview you and talk about those as well. So Marvin has done some neat things, and we will talk with him next week exactly about what he did. So that's next Wednesday at 8 o'clock, question and answer session, in addition to an interview with Dr. Marvin Price. So thanks for joining us tonight. Thanks for being a member of the AIP. We hope that we're helping you, and anything you need, just give us a call. Thanks.
Thank you.